All right, guys. Now we got something very important to talk about. Now, before we even get into this whole thing, I would like to remind everybody out there just about this very, very tried and true tactic that the Chinese Communist Party uses. Every single time there's a failing when it comes to the economy, when it comes to, anything that goes wrong in China, the government, the first thing, the knee-jerk reaction is to blame foreigners, to blame foreign powers and to blame the outside world. Yeah. We've seen this with everything. When the stock market crashed, they said it was because Americans were messing with the stock market and foreigners were messing. It turns out that's not true because foreigners can't invest in the Chinese stock market back then anyway, They come up with all these things just to quell people's worries. And, when people start to get agitated and they're like, the Chinese, like what's going on? Our economy's, screwing up. What's going on? They'll be like, that's foreigners have done this. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's very, very normal. So whenever there's a big thing going on in China, they always blame the foreigners for the problem. Now, what you see down on the street there are some government officials. Okay, and they do this. This is what government official thing. Whenever there's... stand behind them. Yeah. They have to go and stand somewhere in order to kind of be on the ground and see what's going on, right? So you've got some government officials in a Shanghai neighborhood, basically looking around. And so as a response, when people noticed that there were Shanghai officials down there, they started to bang pots and pans. You can hear in the background. Now, look, other than banging pots and pans, people are also shouting things like, we need supplies. Okay? You have to understand that there's been a lot of food insecurity during the entire Shanghai lockdown. Now, you may not think so if you see some of the propaganda coming out of especially foreigners that are living in Shanghai. They'll be like, government's giving us tons of free food. Look at our packed fridges or whatever, that garbage. But that's not true because we have lots of people that live in Shanghai that are in contact with us, people we know personally, people that are family, etc.
Talking to them every day.
And some of them have only received either one or two in the entire time. They've been locked up for more than a month now. Yeah. And during that entire month, they were lucky to receive one package. And the only way they're keeping themselves fed is by doing these like back deal doors. And deals. Illegal weird stuff where they have to pay a lot of money for delivery people to like sneak past the regulations. They really have to wrangle. They're like trading with their neighbors. They're doing all sorts of stuff just to have enough to eat. Yeah. And they're not being able to rely on the government. So that's not for everyone, by the way.
No.
Yeah, that's only if you have the means. Like imagine you're not somebody who's connected. Maybe you're an elderly person who doesn't know how to use the apps. Not that the apps work, because everyone's every day like trying to order and stuff. And you have to rely on the government. And all you've received in a month is one package of like rotten vegetables or some crap like that. How are you supposed to survive?
You're not.
Yeah, and
in fact, people have starved to death.
Yeah, people have starved to death. And so this is what's going on here is people are banging their pots and pans because they're saying, give us food, right? Because that's what they need.
Because if they're going to get the attention of someone, it better be the government officials that are inspecting. Look at my beautiful handiwork.
Yeah, exactly.
Xi Jinping's minions.
Yeah, so anyway, it gets worse. I'll show you here. He's like, don't react. Don't show fear.
Eat the rich.
Yeah. So now this started to pick up. Now we'll get ourselves out the picture here. We'd like you to just take this in, all right? This is from various different compounds around Shanghai. We'd like you to watch this and just listen.
大宁街道越秀民邸小区音乐节正式开始。人声鼎沸，锣鼓喧天。
大家不满街道不发物资。
I think we all understand what's going on here. Those are a couple of clips. There are many more. It kind of just started to go around the entire city. It became almost like a revolution in a way.
Yeah, people started using lasers and stuff, and they would write, like, we need supplies, and put it on the buildings.
I saw people using massage machines to bang pots, those kind of like, and vibrators and stuff. They've been sticking them in, just to basically make a lot of noise. Yeah, because people are really pissed off. They want food.
So when you starve out a populace, right? And by the way, and not to do a shill for my own video or whatever, but I talk about why this is actually happening. It's much deeper than a lot of people are letting on. What you have to understand is when you starve out a population, the central government here is so either disconnected or is doing this on purpose, right? Yeah. Which is some of the arguments I make. But when you starve them out, people get desperate. People do things for food, right?
Yep, you can do almost anything. Even Chinese people have this saying that they can endure almost everything, but you can't starve them.
You can't starve them, right?
Yeah.
So the issue is that people don't normally protest the government like what you're seeing now. And that's context that I have to get through your guys' head, is that it's so out of the ordinary for a large government body to be protested in China because of how illegal it is, that you don't see displays like this normally. So what do you think the government's reaction would this be? It's not going to be that the people are dissatisfied. It's, of course, foreign forces.
Let's actually show you the next clip to put some, just so you can see. Take a look. So this is the result. After all of these, the government starts to take notice that people are banging pots and pans. Let's take a look.
And for audio listeners, we'll translate after.
Yeah. Okay, I think we just need to hop in here and explain this. So this is a loudspeaker, and you hear this in different neighborhoods. You'll have these loudspeakers set up. Yeah. Remember when we had our little shop in the village? We had the speaker right above our shop, and it was super annoying whenever they'd announce something. But it's so that the local village committee or town committee or whatever can make an announcement to people, right? What they're blaring out on this one is like, attention, we have a big announcement. Foreign forces are inciting Shanghai people to protest against the pandemic prevention and control work by organizing so-called hitting bowl music festivals. So now foreign forces are the ones inciting people to bang their pots and pans.
So I ran this, I did like an A/B test basically. I ran this by Chinese people. And so some people don't even know about this, right? People in different parts of China. I ran this by Chinese friends. Every single one of them either broke out laughing or rolled their eyes. Yeah. Because this is insanity. I mean, this is the level they have. And you can tell this message was rush made. Yeah. You can hear the desperation. It's like, quick, get this out, right? Yeah. Who out in China that's starving in Shanghai, that's really pissed off at the government? Everyone's pissed off at the government. They shared 400 million people shared a protest video across the Chinese internet before it got scrubbed. Mm-hmm. Who is going to say, oh, you know what? I'm not actually hungry anymore. The government's giving me a lot of food, even though I have nothing. And it's definitely foreign forces like CIA
it's like, oh,
agents.
why am I banging my pot? I guess it must be foreign forces influencing my mind.
Dude. Yeah.
Messages start getting spread around WeChat. And this is from a local, what's his name? Zhang over here. A local policeman, okay? Yeah, basically, we'll show you the proper translation. It starts to go around and, well, here's the translation. It says, everyone, everyone, recently, Net Security informed me, I guess, and he's obviously talking about cybersecurity. This is a bad translation. That foreign forces are encouraging Chinese residents to knock on the pot to protest. Okay, in other words, to bang your pots, to protest. At present, some communities have knocked on the pot. This activity is a conspiracy instigated by foreigners. I hope you can distinguish right from wrong, reflect reasonable demands through correct ways, and don't give opportunities to foreign forces. Thank you.
I can confirm. When I was at the Pentagon, I was sitting around that round table, and they were like, what can we do here? Pots. If we get people to bang their pots.
But
this is clown stuff.
Can you see what they're trying to do here, though? They're trying to basically tell people, if you bang your pots, that means that you are colluding with foreign forces and you're going to face consequences.
So what that does is it's like a minor annoyance / it's tantamount to protest, right?
Yeah.
But if you do it now, you are a spy.
Yeah.
That's like you get elevated from a nuisance to a spy.
Yeah.
That's what this does.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see some of the people replying because, in the group chat histories shared on WeChat, we blanked out their names. We don't want to throw anyone under the bus. But someone was like, well, you can quell these foreign protests just by giving us bloody food.
Yeah, if you don't want the foreign forces invading protests to keep going, you just give us food.
Give us some food and it'll
solution.
stop. Yeah, then we can quell the foreign forces interference if you just give us supplies.
Dude. Knock the pot.
Freaking knock the pot,
NED pots, right?
Hitting pot music festival or whatever it is.
Welcome to the. I went instead of Coachella. Let's go to the NED's Hit the Pot Music Festival.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolute garbage. Can you for 1 minute actually just step back here and think that the Chinese government is now telling people that banging pots and pans because they're hungry and they're pissed off is foreign forces influence?
The thing is, it's so ludicrous. But again, I want people to not just laugh. I do want people to ridicule and laugh at this. You have to. It's important that you do so, actually. Spread this around and show how low the Chinese government is going to actually destroy the lives of its own citizens and then have a scapegoat, right?
Yeah.
To make sure that when people are suffering and full of this negative energy and really feeling under duress, make sure that xenophobia is being blanketed, because it's important that people share this around. I'll tell you why. While the rest of the world is saying, let's join hands and let's be all happy and lovely and all this kind of stuff, and we're all like a rainbow and all this kind of stuff I believe in as well. Sure. I believe in America's diversity. I think it's America's strength. This kind of message is the exact opposite of what's being portrayed and shown in China.
Yeah, it's like foreigners are the
ones. Foreigners are bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where they're from. Foreigners are evil spies, and you should actually report them. I had a friend actually that got the cops called on him. They called him a spy because he took a photo of his food delivery that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Now he's a spy, right? Because the people in the building have been told, the older people that grew up under Mao, have been told by the government to report all spies, which are all foreigners now, if they do anything bad, right?
Now,
this is horrible.
On top of that, 3 of my foreign friends that live in Shanghai right now have had separate visits from the police, and very special checkups from the police, specifically because they're foreigners. And now when they're getting their PCR tests, they're getting a different test from the locals because they're foreigners.
Yeah.
Not just one, but 3.
Yeah.
Not all of them, by the way, but 3 of them that have told me about this. And I'm finding this just quite ridiculous. Now, when you start to build up this kind of rhetoric like what we're seeing here, you know what that leads to? That leads to xenophobia, that leads to hatred towards foreigners. It rubs off because if you're being told by your government, the reason people are unhappy and protesting is because foreign forces are inciting this, when you see that foreigner who happens to be your neighbor, you're going to be freaking, suspicious of that person. You're going to start to hate that person. You're going to start to report him when you think he's doing something weird.
Well, when the only message is that foreigners are the cause of every single problem you have over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Of course, the average Shanghai person is banging the pots along with the foreigners, right?
Yeah.
They're all they're not stupid, right? These people aren't stupid. That's why I said I showed my friends. They laughed, right?
Yeah.
Even people that are fairly, supportive of the Chinese government are laughing at this because it's pathetic.
It's pathetic.
A certain generation of people, it's not. It's working.
That's the thing. The older generation, they're not going to see through this. They trust the government implicitly.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever the government says, they believe because that's how they were brought up. And a certain amount of uneducated people are going to believe it too.
Yeah.
And all you need is one uneducated person to come across a foreigner and attack him because they think he's the cause of all their problems.
Now,
we already have foreigners that have been reported to the police and sent to a quarantine camp, even though they're negative, just because they're foreigners, right? And the people don't feel comfortable having a foreigner in the building.
I actually had someone that said we could, but we won't name names because they're not out yet. But listen, the reason I said you can clown on it, you can laugh at it and stuff, but there's a lesson to be learned here, and I really want to make it a very, very important and very succinct message to people in China. As funny as this is, and pathetic as this is, and a scapegoat and all this stuff, if you're a foreigner in China, I really, really implore you should probably think about getting out of China right now. Because when it devolves to this level, and just the eyewitness, reports we've had from foreigners in Shanghai and China in general, when it devolves to this level, it means that it's very unstable. There's some crazy shit happening there, and they don't know who to blame anymore.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be that scapegoat, because mob mentality is super dangerous.
It's super, super dangerous.
And when people are hungry, and it's just bad. It's bad vibes all around. It's bad for the Chinese people there. It's bad for the Shanghaiers, and it's bad for the foreigners. But it gets worse. Mm-hmm. And actually, they're going after people like us.
Yeah.
And I'll try to explain this. So this picture you see up here, right? Can you explain this picture? Because this is actually part of Chinese media. This is just translated in English.
Yeah, okay. What you should know about anti-spying. Now, of course, building on top of the xenophobic, foreigners are the fault of everything. Foreigners are the ones bringing in COVID. Foreigners are the dirty carriers of the plague. Foreigners are the reason why people are hungry and banging their pots and all that other nonsense. They're also reigniting a big anti-spy campaign.
Yeah.
Basically saying foreigners are here to destabilize us, and foreigners are here to try and,
this is
mess
when
up
you're
our
circling
China.
the toilet bowl. When your policy has failed so bad, this is the last hurrah.
Yeah. So this little infograph that they've got up here, it says, what you should know about anti-spying. A spy might be an intimate lover, warm-hearted people who offer you chances to earn money, an online friend with the same interests. Okay.
So this is a PSA that was put out in English and Chinese.
Yes.
In Chinese state media.
Mm-hmm. Ways overseas spies uses to incite defection. Money, beauty, emotion, friends, internet. Now, okay, once again, this is projection. I'll tell you why it's projection. Is because the Chinese government uses these means in order to entrap people.
This is their playbook.
They go on the dating sites. They
LinkedIn is huge.
They offer money. They offer all the things that you're seeing here. So what they're saying is like, this is how we do it. So this is probably how they do it. So
and this is not speculation. People that have reached out to us, the people that have been approached in China, because they're just English teachers or whatever, but they have a military background, or people on LinkedIn have reached out and said, why are these like Chinese, basically PLA type dudes reaching out to me on social media? It's this playbook, but this is put out by the Chinese government.
Yeah. So
this is what they say foreign countries are doing to Chinese people.
But this is what they're doing
this is
to
what they
foreign,
do to
foreign countries, So they say spies target veterans, university students and teachers, international students, military equipment enthusiasts. This is a big thing, military equipment enthusiasts, because you do get those like basically military otakus, people that love planes and guns and ships and stuff, Employee of defense-related enterprise and research units. That's exactly what they do. How many times have you read about how the FBI has caught somebody who was working in this or whatever field and offered money for this or that?
Dude, that's like the prime thing.
Yeah. Government employees, young active internet users, right? Ways an overseas spy uses to steal secrets. Entry into the country. Stealing via the internet. Using technologies.
As opposed to what? Paper?
I don't know.
Like
stealing on the spot. What is that even supposed to mean?
It means like stealing files, I guess. Like just pickpocketing them out of a car or something.
Yeah, building observation site. See how paranoid they are.
This, again, if you just tuned in, this is Chinese state media warning Chinese people, and apparently English speakers now, about how Chinese spies are recruited by foreign countries. What is this?
Oh, this is, of course,
projection. I mean, this is textbook.
Yeah.
Exactly what we've seen time and time again about how China tries to co-opt people.
Yeah.
And do you know what this context actually is?
What's that?
Leave this up.
Okay.
This is very important.
Right.
This involves people like us.
Right.
Because I actually think, unlike the bird thing that's speculative, this absolutely has to do with people like us.
Yeah.
You know how people send us footage?
Sure.
You know, people reach out to us. You know how people, say, here, I'll shoot a background for you.
Yeah.
Right? And you always see footage behind us, right?
Yeah.
Let's give them an example.
Yeah, exactly. Like that.
Today, right?
That's from Beijing, and that's from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. We have people that go out and do this, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's not just one person.
No, it's just friends sending us footage. We're not like, oh, hey, go Shifty. We want you to go get this.
It's just at the same time, friends might tell some other dude to do it too, right?
Sure.
We have absolutely no control of this. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're not saying go film military secrets.
No, absolutely not. It's a street scene.
Yeah,
literally
just a
street scenes of China, right? Now, what they're doing is they're trying to scare the shit out of people that do stuff like this. And I'm about to read you something, but we've also seen this in some of the like pro CCP shill type YouTuber accounts.
Yeah.
They go after people like this because they know that the government's cracking down on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're very upset that there are people out there that can go take footage, right, of this kind of stuff in China for people like us.
Yeah.
Let me read you something and tell you as the audience, tell me if you think this sounds a little suspicious.
Okay, let's go for it.
A Chinese state-operated media and propaganda outlet reports that students, workers, and unemployed youth are specifically at risk and vulnerable to being turned or defected by foreign influencers.
Foreign influencers, okay, like us.
What foreign influencers talk about China predominantly? I wonder. The paper cites 2 examples where photographers were paid by foreign entities to photograph military targets in exchange for money or gifts, right? So I scoured the internet for this, the Chinese internet for this. I can't find any pictures of these people. The most recent case involves a Chinese wedding photographer who has been sentenced. By the way, for someone like doing this, like just filming like a normal thing or taking a picture, right?
Sure.
But a foreigner paid them or whatever. How much jail time do you think that person would get?
I don't know. In China, it'll be a lot, though.
Yeah. So this wedding photographer, was sentenced to 14 years in prison for the crime of endangering national security after the Chinese government found that he provided 384 photos of Chinese ships and military ports to someone overseas who he met on WeChat.
Yeah.
Okay, so some random dude approached some Chinese wedding photographer and said, hey, I'll give you, by the way, $6,280 to take 300 pictures of this.
Correct.
Right. Now, what does this sound like to you?
Well, I just want to put something into perspective.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What does this sound like?
The Chinese students keep getting caught taking photos of a specific naval base in America.
It's interesting.
It's always the same naval base, and it's always Chinese students. They've sentenced 3. Okay, this is a recent article. So the guy called Liu Yo Liao, who's 27 years old, was sentenced to 12 months in prison and a year of supervised release after he pleaded guilty into entering the base and taking photos and videos, et cetera, of vital military equipment, et cetera. So Chinese students, aka Chinese spies, they're being recruited as spies, actually going into a naval base, which you're not allowed, sneaking in. And for whatever reason, they keep doing it to this one naval base. So obviously it's a target for the Chinese military. Sure. They want people to go in there.
Yeah, they want that.
Taking photos and videos, of vital military equipment. It's not like, I'm just a tourist. I'm going to come in here and take a photo of this nuclear submarine or whatever it is. No, sneaking in there, taking photos, being caught red-handed with the photos and videos on his phone, gets sentenced to 12 months in prison.
Yeah.
Whereas some poor wedding photographer who went to probably go take wedding photos in front of
the ship.
Yeah, gets 14 years.
Yeah. By the way, there's no proof of this person existing.
Yeah, it could also just be fake.
Now, I'll tell you what the aim of this article is after I'm done reading it. Another case that the Chinese government cites involves a student who met a foreigner using the name Han on a dating app.
Oh.
From March through July of 2020, the student visited military ports and bases on multiple occasions and shared those photos with Han in exchange for $1,570, as well as several gifts, including a Casio watch.
Wow.
What
kind of a spy accepts a Casio watch as payment?
What?
Why would they include that? If it was a Rolex, maybe?
I know, like, make it more believable.
It's like, here, have this Casio watch.
A Casio watch?
It's like a $25 watch.
And a Casio.
Seriously. Maybe it was a fancy G-Shock, but those aren't even expensive.
Those are $100.
Yeah.
That's not a bribe.
Here's a $100 watch. Go to prison for 12 years or whatever.
Oh, okay. 13 in this case.
13 years. Okay.
So, sorry. No, you're right.
Yeah.
This student was sentenced to 6 years in prison. A third example doesn't involve a photographer, but is a similar situation.
Okay.
This case involves an operational commander at the Department of Aviation and operation management at an airport. By the way, who I've heard multiple cases of Americans that had a similar position that were approached through LinkedIn by Chinese officials.
Correct.
Or Chinese, spy type dudes. State. To actually relinquish information. It's quite literally their own playbook.
It's their own playbook, yeah.
Who was seduced through social media into providing the itineraries of important government figures to a foreign operative. He was sentenced to 13 years in prison, right?
Yeah.
Let me finish this off. Global Times, which is the Chinese state outlet, says that online recruitment through social apps and dating app platforms is becoming a popular method to turn citizens into spies, whether or not they realize it. The chart below shows common methods that the Chinese government believes are being used, and that's what you're looking at now.
Yeah.
Now, this report didn't cite which foreign entities the Chinese government believes are responsible for turning its citizens, by the way, into spy photographers. But the article is clearly meant to be a warning to its citizens. If they are caught sending photos or information on the government or its important figures or facilities to a foreign entity, lengthy prison sentences await them. This is a huge scattershot. Like we know who you are.
Yeah.
Don't ever try this again.
Sure.
That's what the Chinese government's actually doing here.
I'm just fascinated by this naval basing because it's so ridiculous. You know, they like drive up to the gate. This is one of the like they caught a whole bunch.
In the U.S.
Yeah, of course. So this naval base, they get turned around because they don't have military ID. They take a U-turn, and then later they're found sneaking in. 30 minutes later, they've snuck into the base, which they were turned around from, taking photos and videos. And then they're like, "Oh,
I didn't get shot.
I'm a music student, and I lost my way on a tourist trail." And then they look in their phones, and it's just photos of military equipment and whatnot. And then
they got a year.
And then they plead guilty.
Wow.
And then they get a year. But that's just one of many of these cases. I'm just saying, it just shows that this is the Chinese modus operandi. This is how they do it. So now they're just turning the tables and say, this is what foreigners are doing to us.
Now, this serves two purposes. Number one is to scare the shit out of any Chinese person that would ever even be, tempted into not doing spy stuff, to just be tempted in doing stuff like this, taking footage in general.
Yeah.
Number two, the other purpose is to do the xenophobia thing.
Of course.
Foreign forces are invading China. See, that's why there's no actual concrete examples.
Correct.
Foreign forces are invading China, and this is the time
and
to be
people
on
are being
high
caught.
alert.
And again,
The
the biggest thing, like you said, is to sow xenophobia and distrust of foreigners.
That's what this is.
So if a foreigner wants to make friends with you on a dating app or through anything, or just like you meet a foreigner just like in your building and wants to talk to you, you'll be like, wait, I've been warned.
Yeah.
Foreigners are they're trying to make friends with me so that they can spy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Remember that's like David the spy, David Kaboterki. David the spy. That cartoon about like this handsome foreigner, and he dates this girl and he asks her some questions about his work.
It was something they put up all over China to warn you about foreigners being spies.
It's the same thing. Now here, and I just have to put the scenario out to you, okay? Because I have friends in this situation. You're living in a building, and your Chinese neighbors don't know you very well. And this happened to me too, a number of times when I was still living in China. They don't know you very well. They might see you in the hall in the elevator, you might say hi or whatever, but you're just the foreigner in the building, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly, the Chinese government starts putting out all these information notices about watch out for spies. Foreigners are trying to befriend you to be an intimate lover or a friend or someone who shares interests.
Yeah.
You saw that?
It's basic stuff.
So you're this Chinese person and you're sitting down playing Chinese chess or something, and this foreigner comes up because he happens to be like a Sinophile or whatever, and he's like, hey,
dude's from England.
Yeah, can you teach me about chess? Or he's like, I also play chess, can we play together? What are you going to think in your mind? He's like, oh, this guy's probably a spy. He wants to get to know me. It just creates this disgusting xenophobic rat culture, this whole rat your neighbor out thing, and like, this foreigner's probably bad, I better tell my government about it, don't trust him.
Sure.
Creates a very unhealthy environment for foreigners to live in.
Picture this. Dude's like, hey, I heard you playing piano. I also play piano.
Yeah.
You guys become friends, you start playing piano together, you go over there, he comes over to your house, you guys are best buddies now, right?
Yeah,
you go play basketball on the weekends and stuff. All of a sudden, Mr. Vanilla Face McDonald's, foreigner dude, busts out a Casio watch.
Oh, yeah.
You're in trouble.
Oh, you're in massive trouble. It's like, hey, listen, you're a friend of mine, I want you to have this G-Shock.
Right, and he's like, oh, but I'll take the calculator one.
Yeah, that's what I'd take.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a horrible situation.
Yeah.
And the Chinese government is doing this on purpose. They want to sow distrust towards foreigners, to take the blame and deflect away from their shortcomings that they're going through at the moment.
Yeah, agreed.